The stars burned cold and distant in the endless black of space. Commander Vexithara stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the scanner displays with sharp yellow eyes. Her crystalline armor caught the blue light from the control panels, making her look like a living jewel against the dark metal walls. 30 ships of the Zephyrian Dominion moved through space like deadly sharks. Each vessel was 3 times the size of most ships in the galaxy, their hulls made of smooth crystal that could deflect almost any weapon. Purple energy flowed through channels carved into their sides, powering shields strong enough to stop small moons. "Commander," called Communications Officer Kretal from his station. His voice had the musical quality all Zephyrians shared, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "We have detected a vessel on the edge of our scanner range. It appears to be human." Vexithara's mandibles clicked together in what passed for a smile among her people. Humans were always good for entertainment. Their ships were primitive things made of crude metal and powered by ancient technology. The Dominion had encountered human vessels many times before, and each meeting ended the same way. The humans would surrender quickly, offering their cargo in exchange for their lives. "What type of ship?" she asked, moving closer to the main display. "It appears to be a cargo freighter, Commander. Old design, maybe 50 years behind current standards. The hull shows significant wear and damage." Kretal paused to study his readings more carefully. "They are broadcasting a distress signal on multiple frequencies." "Of course they are," Vexithara said with amusement. "Set an intercept course. Have all ships form attack formation. We might as well collect whatever valuable cargo they are carrying." The Zephyrian fleet changed direction like a school of fish, their movements perfectly coordinated. They had done this dance many times before. The smaller races of the galaxy had learned to fear the sight of Dominion ships, but humans seemed too stubborn or too stupid to learn proper respect. Far ahead in the darkness, the human ship drifted, through space like a piece of floating junk. The USS Liberty looked exactly like what it claimed to be, an old cargo freighter that had seen better days. Rust stains covered much of its gray hull, and several external lights flickered on and off as if the electrical system was failing. On the Liberty's bridge, Captain Jake Murphy sat in his command chair and watched the alien fleet approach on his screens. He was a tall man with graying hair and deep lines around his eyes from years of squinting at star charts. His uniform was faded and patched in several places, matching the worn appearance of his ship. "They are taking the bait," said First Officer Lisa Hayes from her position at the sensor station. She was younger than Murphy, with short brown hair and quick green eyes. Like the rest of the crew, she wore a uniform that looked like it had been repaired many times. "Good," Murphy replied quietly. "How many ships?" 30, Hayes answered. "All of them are Zephyrian heavy cruisers. They have enough firepower to destroy a small planet." Engineer Pete Collins looked up from his maintenance panel with a worried expression. He was a short, stocky man with oil stains on his hands and clothes. "Captain, should we be concerned? I mean, that is a lot of ships coming our way." Murphy smiled slightly. "Do not worry, Pete. Everything is going according to plan. Just keep playing your part." Collins nodded and went back to his work, making sure to look nervous and fumbling with his tools. The act had to be perfect. Every member of the Liberty's crew knew their role in the deception that was about to unfold. The Zephyrian fleet grew larger on the view screen as it approached. The alien ships moved in perfect formation, their crystal hulls reflecting the light of nearby stars. Purple energy danced along their weapon ports, a clear threat to anyone who might think of resisting. "Incoming transmission," announced Communications Officer Beth Young. She was a slim woman with blonde hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her fingers moved over her control panel with practiced ease, but she made sure to look uncertain and afraid. "Put it on screen," Murphy ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, showing Commander Vexithara in all her alien glory. Her insect-like features were both beautiful and terrifying, with large compound eyes that seemed to see everything at once. When she spoke, her voice was smooth, but carried a clear threat beneath its musical tones. "Human vessel, you have entered Dominion space. Without permission. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your ship. Murphy stood up slowly, making sure to look tired and defeated. He had played this role many times before, and he knew exactly how to appear harmless to alien eyes. Commander, we mean no trouble. Our ship has suffered multiple system failures. We are just trying to reach the nearest repair station. What cargo are you carrying? Vexithara demanded. Simple trade goods, Murphy replied, spreading his hands in a gesture of helplessness. Medical supplies, basic electronics, some food items, nothing of great value. Please, we just want safe passage through your territory. Behind Vexithara, other Zephyrian officers could be seen studying their displays and speaking in low voices. They were analyzing the human ship, looking for any signs of hidden weapons or advanced technology. Their scanners showed exactly what Murphy wanted them to see: an old, worn-out freighter with failing systems and no threat capability. Your ship appears to be falling apart, Vexithara observed with clear amusement. How did you manage to travel this far in such a damaged vessel? We have been making repairs as we go, Murphy answered, looking embarrassed. Our engineer is quite skilled, but we are working with very old equipment. Some of our systems are held together with spare parts and hope. On cue, Pete Collins called out from his station. Captain, I am reading another power fluctuation in the main drive. I am not sure how much longer I can keep us moving. Murphy sighed heavily, as if the weight of command was crushing him. Commander, surely you can see that we pose no threat to your mighty fleet. We are just trying to get home, safely. Vexithara studied the human captain for a long moment. Everything about him and his ship suggested weakness and desperation. The hull was damaged, the crew looked frightened, and their technology was clearly decades behind Dominion standards. It was almost disappointing how easy this would be. Very well, she said finally. You will surrender your cargo as payment for safe passage through our space. My ships will escort you to the border, and then you will leave and never return. Thank you, Commander, Murphy said with obvious relief. We are grateful for your mercy. The transmission ended and the bridge of the Liberty fell silent for a moment. Then Murphy turned to his crew with a different expression entirely. The tired, defeated look was gone, replaced by the cold, calculating gaze of a predator. Positions, everyone, he said quietly. It is time to show these aliens what humans are really capable of. The crew moved with sudden precision, their earlier nervousness vanishing like smoke. They had been waiting for this moment, and now the real game could begin. The 30 Zephyrian warships moved into position around the human freighter, like wolves circling wounded prey. Each alien vessel was a masterpiece of crystal and metal, their hulls gleaming with purple energy that flowed through carved channels like liquid fire. The USS Liberty looked pathetic in comparison, a small rusty box floating helplessly in the center of their formation. Commander Vexithara watched the tactical display on her bridge with satisfaction. The human ship was completely surrounded, with no possible escape route. Her ships had formed a perfect sphere around the primitive vessel, each one positioned to provide overlapping fields of fire. If the humans tried anything foolish, they would be destroyed in seconds. Weapons Officer Nex4, power up the plasma batteries, she ordered. Set them to minimum power. We want to disable their engines, not vaporize them completely. Nex4 was a large Zephyrian with dark blue crystal plates covering his shoulders and arms. His 4 hands moved quickly over the weapon controls, and the ship's main guns began to glow with deadly energy. Plasma batteries at 20% power, Commander. Ready to fire on your command. Excellent, Vexithara said. Maintain targeting. Lock but do not fire unless they attempt to run. I want to see what cargo they are carrying before we decide their fate. On the Liberty's bridge, the human crew continued their act of desperate fear. Captain Murphy slumped in his command chair, looking like a man who had just realized his situation was hopeless. His uniform was wrinkled and stained, and he kept wiping sweat from his forehead with a shaking hand. Captain, called First Officer Lisa Hayes, in a voice that trembled just enough to sound believable. They have us completely surrounded. 30 ships, all with weapons powered and ready to fire. What are we going to do? Murphy looked around at his crew with the expression of a defeated man. I do not know, Lisa. We are outgunned and outnumbered. Maybe if we cooperate, they will let us. Live. Engineer Pete Collins continued to work at his station, but his movements were clumsy and panicked. He dropped his tools twice and cursed loudly each time. To the alien sensors watching the bridge, he looked like a man barely keeping his ship, running through sheer desperation. Captain, the main engine is making strange noises again, Collins reported in a worried voice. I am not sure how much longer it will keep working. If it fails now, we will be dead in space. Do your best, Pete, Murphy replied wearily. That is all any of us can do now. Communications Officer Beth Young looked up from her station with wide, frightened eyes. Sir, they are demanding to speak with you again. Should I put them through? Murphy nodded slowly, like a man accepting his doom. Yes, put them on screen. Commander Vexithara appeared on the view screen once more, her alien features showing clear amusement at the human's obvious fear. Behind her, other Zephyrian officers could be seen studying their instruments and speaking in their musical language. They were analyzing every detail of the human ship, searching for any hidden surprises. Human Captain, Vexithara said with mock politeness, my officers have completed their scan of your vessel. Your ship is even more primitive than we first thought. How do you manage to travel between stars with such ancient technology? Murphy spread his hands helplessly. We make do with what we have, Commander. Human technology may not be as advanced as yours, but it gets us where we need to go. Most of the time, anyway. Most of the time, Vexithara repeated with a laugh that sounded like breaking glass. Your engine appears to be held together with scrap metal and good intentions. My engineers could build a better drive system from spare parts found in our recycling bins. I am sure they could, Murphy agreed humbly. We humans are not as advanced as the great Zephyrian Dominion. We know our place in the galaxy. This answer seemed to please Vexithara greatly. She enjoyed hearing the lesser races acknowledge their inferiority. It confirmed what every Zephyrian already knew, that they were destined to rule the stars, while primitive species like humans served them. At least you understand your position, she said. That will make this process much easier. Prepare to transfer your cargo to my ships. We will take what we want and leave you with enough supplies to reach the nearest human colony. Thank you for your kindness, Murphy said with obvious relief. We are grateful that you are allowing us to live. While this conversation continued, the Liberty's crew worked at their stations with hidden purpose. Tactical Officer Amy Carter sat at what appeared to be a life support console, but her fingers were actually moving over concealed weapon controls. The ship's true armament was completely hidden from alien sensors, disguised as ordinary ship systems. Chief Science Officer Dan Brooks pretended to monitor the ship's failing power grid while actually conducting detailed scans of the Zephyrian fleet. His instruments were far more advanced than the aliens suspected, capable of analyzing their shield frequencies, weapon types, and hull composition with perfect accuracy. Navigator Chris Stone appeared to be struggling with a malfunctioning navigation computer, but he was actually plotting attack vectors and escape routes. His fingers danced over hidden controls, preparing the ship's true propulsion system for the moment when stealth would no longer be necessary. Medical Officer Kate Adams worked at her station, with the calm efficiency of someone checking the crew's health, but she was actually monitoring the ship's hidden systems and preparing for combat operations. Every member of the Liberty's crew was playing their part in the greatest deception the galaxy had ever seen. The Zephyrian fleet continued to close in, their formation tightening like a noose around the human ship. Commander Vexithara was enjoying this moment of complete superiority over a weaker species. Her officers relaxed at their stations, confident that they were dealing with typical human incompetence. Commander, reported Sensor Officer Thylex, the human ship's power output is extremely low. Their reactor appears to be operating at less than 30% capacity. They are probably trying to conserve energy to keep life support running. Pathetic, Vexithara said with disgust. How did such a weak species ever manage to leave their home planet? They should have stayed in their little corner of space where they belong. Perhaps we should put them out of their misery, suggested. Weapons Officer Nexvor. It would be a kindness to end their suffering quickly. Vexithera considered this for a moment. The humans were clearly no threat, and their cargo was probably not worth the effort of transferring it. But something about the ease of this encounter bothered her. In her long career, she had learned to be suspicious when things seemed too simple. No, she decided finally. We will follow the original plan. Take their cargo and send them on their way, but keep all weapons ready and maintain full sensor sweeps. I want to be certain there are no surprises. On the Liberty's bridge, Captain Murphy caught the eye of each crew member in turn. They had been maintaining their deception for almost an hour now, and the alien fleet was exactly where they wanted it. The trap was set, and it was time to spring it. Murphy stood up slowly from his command chair, still playing the role of a defeated captain. But there was something different in his posture now, a subtle change that his trained crew recognized immediately. The moment they had all been waiting for was finally at hand. Captain Murphy gave a small nod to his crew, and everything changed in an instant. The rusty, damaged hull of the USS Liberty began to shift and transform. Sections of fake armor plating slid away with mechanical precision, revealing gleaming silver metal underneath that pulsed with blue energy. What had appeared to be a broken-down freighter was shedding its disguise like a snake losing its old skin. Hidden weapon ports opened all across the ship's surface, dozens of them appearing, where none had existed moments before. Advanced targeting systems emerged from concealed compartments, their sleek designs unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The flickering lights that had suggested electrical problems now blazed with steady, powerful illumination. Commander, Vexithara stared at her tactical display in complete shock. The readings made no sense. The primitive human ship was showing energy levels that should have been impossible for a vessel of its size. Her sensors were detecting weapon systems that did not match any known technology in Zephyrian databases. "What is happening?" she demanded, her musical voice now sharp with alarm. "Sensor Officer Thylex, explain these readings immediately." Thylex's 4 hands moved frantically over his controls, trying to make sense of the impossible data flowing across his screens. "Commander, the human ship is generating power levels equivalent to our own flagship. But that cannot be correct. Their reactor was barely functioning just moments ago." "It was never barely functioning," came a new voice from the Liberty's communication channel. Captain Murphy's image appeared on the Zephyrian view screen, but he was no longer the tired, defeated man they had been speaking with. His posture was straight and confident, his eyes cold and calculating. "We were just waiting for you to get close enough." The transformation of the Liberty was complete. The ship now looked like a predator from humanity's darkest nightmares, bristling with weapons and crackling with energy. Its new hull configuration was sleek and deadly, designed for one purpose: war. "Impossible," Vexithara whispered. "You are humans. You do not possess technology like this." "That is what we wanted you to think," Murphy replied calmly. "For too long, the galaxy has seen humanity as weak and primitive. We have allowed that belief to continue because it served our purposes. But the time for hiding is over." The Liberty's weapons opened fire without warning. Beams of pure energy lanced out in all directions, striking the closest Zephyrian ships with devastating accuracy. The alien vessel's shields, which could stop most known weapons, crumpled like paper before the human particle beams. The first 3 Zephyrian ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light, their crystal hulls shattering into millions of pieces. The remaining ships scrambled to respond, but they had been caught completely off guard. Their perfect formation, designed to trap the human ship, had become a death trap for themselves. "All ships, return fire!" Vexithara screamed into her communications system. "Target that human vessel and destroy it now." Purple plasma bolts erupted from the Zephyrian fleet, converging on the Liberty from all sides. The amount of firepower should have been enough to destroy a small moon. But as the alien weapons struck their target, something impossible happened. The energy attacks were absorbed harmlessly by the Liberty's defensive systems, disappearing into what looked like ripples in space itself. "Shield technology," Chief Science Officer Dan Brooks reported from his station aboard the Liberty. "They are using standard plasma-based weapons, Our defensive grid is absorbing 98% of incoming energy and converting it to power. Our own systems. The Liberty moved through space like a dancer, its new propulsion system allowing impossible maneuvers that violated every law of physics the Zephyrians understood. The ship spun and twisted between the alien vessels, avoiding their desperate attacks while returning fire with surgical precision. Navigator Chris Stone had taken manual control of the ship, his hands moving over controls that were far more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen. The Liberty accelerated, stopped, and changed direction without any visible means of propulsion, as if the ship was somehow controlling gravity itself. Quantum drives, Stone reported with satisfaction. We can change our vector instantly without building up momentum. Their targeting computers cannot track us. Another group of Zephyrian ships tried to coordinate their fire, but the Liberty was already somewhere else, appearing behind them and striking their engines with pinpoint accuracy. The alien vessels found themselves crippled and drifting, their crews trapped inside slowly dying ships. Tactical Officer Amy Carter worked at her weapons console with deadly efficiency. Each shot from the Liberty's particle beams found its mark, targeting the specific weak points in Zephyrian armor that their hidden sensors had identified. She was not just firing randomly. Every attack was calculated to cause maximum damage with minimum energy expenditure. Target their shield generators. First, she called out to her fellow crew members. Once their defenses are down, disable their engines and weapons. We want some of them alive to carry our message. Medical Officer Kate Adams monitored the battle from her station, keeping track of enemy casualties and the status of disabled ships. Her readings showed that the Zephyrian fleet was being systematically destroyed by a single human vessel that should not have been able to threaten even one of their warships. 17 enemy ships destroyed, she reported calmly. 8 more disabled and drifting. 5 ships are attempting to retreat, but their quantum drives appear to be jammed. Commander Vexithera watched her mighty fleet crumble around her flagship. Ships that had conquered entire star systems were being picked apart like toys by weapons they had never imagined could exist. The humans were not just winning. They were demonstrating complete technological superiority over the Zephyrian dominion. How? Is this possible? She asked her science officer in a voice filled with despair. Our intelligence report said humans were centuries behind us in technology. Their ships were supposed to be primitive metal boxes with nuclear engines. Our intelligence was wrong, Commander, Thylex replied quietly. They have been hiding their true capabilities from us. From everyone. This ship is more advanced than anything in our databases. The Liberty continued its deadly dance through the remains of the Zephyrian fleet. More alien ships fell to its impossible weapons, their crystal hulls cracking and exploding under the assault of human particle beams. The few vessels that tried to ram the Liberty found themselves unable to get close enough. The human ship's defensive systems created barriers of energy that deflected physical attacks as easily as energy weapons. Communications Officer Beth Young opened channels to the surviving Zephyrian ships, her voice calm and professional as she broadcast Murphy's message across all frequencies. Attention, Zephyrian vessels. You are outmatched and outgunned. Power down your weapons and prepare to receive our terms. Terms? Vexithera managed to ask, though her voice was barely a whisper. Captain Murphy's image appeared on every functioning screen in the alien fleet. You came here expecting to find weak, primitive humans. Instead, you found something the galaxy has never seen before. Humanity, as we truly are. This demonstration is a gift, Commander. We are giving you the chance to return to your people and tell them what you have witnessed here today. The battle was over. In less than 30 minutes, a single human ship had destroyed or disabled an entire Zephyrian patrol fleet. The survivors drifted helplessly in space, their crews trapped inside ships that were no longer capable of fighting or fleeing. The galaxy was about to learn a terrible truth. Humanity had never been weak. They had simply been waiting for the right moment to reveal their strength. The USS Liberty hung motionless in space, surrounded by the wreckage of what had once been a mighty Zephyrian fleet. Twisted metal and shattered crystal drifted through the darkness like the bones of some ancient beast. Only 5 alien ships remained functional, their crews trapped and helpless inside vessels that could no longer fight or flee. Commander Vexithara sat in her command chair, staring at the human ship with a mixture of terror and disbelief. Her beautiful crystalline armor was cracked from the impact of debris, and green blood trickled from a cut above her left eye. Around her, the bridge of her flagship was dark and silent. Most of her control systems had been destroyed by the precise strikes of human weapons. "Communications are still working, Commander," reported her surviving officer in a voice barely above a whisper. "The humans are requesting to speak with you." Vexithara nodded slowly, feeling like she was moving through a nightmare. "Put them through." Captain Murphy appeared on the damaged view screen, his image flickering slightly due to the failing systems. He looked calm and professional, showing no sign of excitement or anger despite having just destroyed 25 warships. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet efficiency, as if this had been nothing more than a training exercise. "Commander Vexithara," Murphy said politely, "I hope you are not badly injured. That was not our intention." "Not your intention." Vexithara's voice cracked with emotion. "You destroyed most of my fleet. Thousands of my people are dead." "Yes," Murphy replied without emotion. "And we could have destroyed all of your ships just as easily. The fact that you are still alive to have this conversation should tell you something important about our intentions." Vexithara looked around, at the wreckage surrounding her ship. The human was right. If they had wanted to kill everyone, they certainly had the power to do so. "What do you want from us?" "We want you to go home," Murphy said simply. "We want you to tell your leaders what you have seen here today. We want them to understand that everything they thought they knew about humanity was wrong." "I do not understand," Vexithara said, though part of her was beginning to fear that she understood perfectly. Murphy leaned forward in his chair, his eyes growing cold. "For centuries, the galaxy has seen humans as weak and primitive, easy targets for conquest or exploitation. We have allowed this belief to continue because it served our purposes. While the great empires fought each other for territory and resources, we were preparing." "Preparing for what?" "For this moment," Murphy replied. "The moment when we would reveal our true nature to the galaxy. Your fleet was not randomly chosen, Commander. We have been watching the Zephyrian Dominion for years, studying your technology and tactics. We knew exactly when and where you would encounter our ship." Communications Officer Beth Young stood up from her station and walked to stand beside Murphy's chair. In her hands, she carried a data pad that glowed with soft blue light. "We have been monitoring communications across 12 star systems, Commander. We know about your military bases, your patrol routes, and your plans for expansion into human space." Vexithara felt her heart skip a beat. If the humans had been watching them for years without being detected, what else did they know? What other capabilities were they hiding? "The Liberty is not our most advanced ship," Murphy continued as if reading her thoughts. "What you have witnessed today is old technology by human standards. We began developing these weapons and defensive systems 30 years ago. Since then, we have created things that would make the Liberty look like a child's toy." Chief Science. Officer Dan Brooks looked up from his instruments and addressed the alien commander directly. "Our scanners show that your empire operates 412 major warships across your territory. We have been tracking every single one of them for the past 5 years. We know where they are, what weapons they carry, and how to destroy them." "That is impossible," Vexithara whispered. "Our ships are spread across dozens of star systems. No one could monitor all of them without us knowing." "No one using technology, you understand?" Brooks replied with a slight smile. "But human quantum communication networks operate on principles your scientists have not yet discovered. We can observe any point in the galaxy instantly and without detection." Engineer Pete Collins, who had spent the entire battle pretending to work on failing ship systems, now revealed his true nature as well. "While your people have been building bigger versions of the same old weapons, we have been developing entirely new forms of technology. Quantum drives, particle beam weapons, energy absorption shields, and manufacturing systems that can build entire fleets in deep space." Vexithara's mind reeled as she tried to process what she was hearing. Manufacturing systems. "The Liberty is not just a warship," Murphy explained. "It is also a mobile factory. While we have been talking, our automated systems have been producing weapons, ammunition, and spare parts. We can build a dozen ships like this one in a matter of weeks, without needing any external resources. Medical Officer Kate Adams stepped forward with a gentle expression on her face. Commander, we are not telling you this to be cruel. We are explaining our capabilities because we want you to understand the choice your empire now faces. What choice? Vexithara asked, though she dreaded the answer. Murphy stood up from his command chair and moved closer to the view screen. The galaxy must decide whether it wants to coexist peacefully with humanity, or whether it wants to test our military capabilities further. We have grown tired of being underestimated and threatened by alien empires who think we are easy prey. You are threatening the entire galaxy? We are offering the galaxy a chance to avoid unnecessary bloodshed, Murphy corrected. The age of treating humans as a primitive, harmless species is over. We will no longer tolerate attacks on our ships, raids on our colonies, or demands for tribute from our people. Navigator Chris Stone pulled up a holographic display that showed the positions of ships throughout local space. Every major military fleet in this sector of the galaxy is currently being observed by vessels like the Liberty. If the Dominion chooses to continue its aggressive policies toward humanity, you, Bas, will discover just how extensive our preparations have been. Tactical Officer Amy Carter added her own warning to the conversation. We have identified the homeworlds of 17 different hostile species. Our long-range weapons can reach any target in the galaxy within hours. We prefer peace, but we are fully prepared for war. Vexithara closed her eyes and tried to imagine explaining this disaster to her superiors. How could she tell them that a single human ship had destroyed most of her fleet? How could she convince them that the primitive species they had been planning to conquer was actually more advanced than any civilization in known space? Why are you letting us go? She asked finally. Why not just destroy us all and be done with it? Because we need you to carry a message, Murphy replied. Every empire in the galaxy needs to understand what they are dealing with. Humanity is no longer hiding. We are taking our place among the stars, and we will defend that place with technology you cannot match and determination you cannot break. The transmission ended, leaving Vexithara alone with her surviving crew and the wreckage of her once mighty fleet. Around them, the Liberty began to move away, its quantum drives carrying it toward whatever mission awaited it next. As the human ship disappeared into the darkness, Vexithara knew that everything had changed. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had finally revealed its true face, and that face was more terrifying than anyone had ever imagined.